Hello there everyone, welcome back to the channel. Its-A-Mii here, and today we are doing our physical roundup for the month of August. We're going to be taking a look at a handful of games releasing on both Nintendo Switch 1, but also Nintendo Switch 2. It's a pretty light month overall. I feel like this is the calm before the storm. There's a lot of stuff in September and October and even November, so August feels a little bit more like a dry month, especially if you just bought a Switch 2. There's really not that much coming out, but there are a few things that I think are interesting, and then of course some games on Switch 1 as well that I wanted to cover in this video. So that is what we are getting into today. Of course, as always, if you are new here and you enjoy Nintendo Switch and Switch 2 collecting, I would appreciate you liking the video and subscribing. Let's get into it. Okay, people, welcome back. We made it to a new month. I wasn't even sure if I should do a video this time because I think for Switch 2, there's like 4 or 5 games, but then I realized there are actually some pretty interesting Switch 1 things releasing as well. So first things first is Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba, the Hinokami Chronicles 2. This is releasing on Switch 1 on August 5th. I am excited to play this game. I wish I had a Switch 2 version, though. I don't really want to get it on Switch 1, so eventually this might be a PS5 pickup for me, maybe on Black Friday. I actually really liked the first game. This is by CyberConnect 2. They did the Naruto Storm games, they do the Dot Hack games, they're doing that Fuga Memories of Steel series right now on their own. But they make, like, the best 3D anime arena fighters, in my opinion. I don't even really care about Demon Slayer like that, but the gameplay to me is really fun, to the point where I did end up getting the Platinum on the first game. Not a Switch pickup for me, though. I really do wish it was on Switch 2 because portability for this would be nice. I would even weigh that over the trophies on PS5, but alas, it is only on Switch 1. 60 bucks. Yeah, I think I'm going to wait until Black Friday. These anime games typically get cheap pretty quickly, so I think I'm just going to hold off for a few months on this one and pick it up on PS5 around Black Friday. Next up, on August 7th, we have what honestly might be one of the most exciting games of the month, if not the most exciting game, depending on who you ask. A very cool release from Level 5. It's an import of a Switch 2 complete on cartridge game, and that is Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time, Nintendo Switch 2 edition. So back when the PS5 and Switch 1 versions came out, we didn't even know this game was going to have a Switch 2 version. They announced it very last minute. It ended up being like a $2.50 upgrade, so a very cheap upgrade if you did buy it on Switch 1. However, it's getting a proper physical on Switch 2, only in Japan, but it does have English on the cartridge. This is one that I'll be importing, one, to show support for a game that's complete on cartridge, but also, two, Fantasy Life I is a fantastic game. One of my favorite games I played this year. If you have not played it yet, I highly recommend you check it out. There are affiliate links for everything in the description, so if you want to support the channel and buy it through Play Asia, you can do that. I think it should also be up on VGP. This is on August 7th. It's going to be 56 bucks here. Now, if you already have the Switch 1 version, I would say just pay the $2.50 upgrade fee and just do that. But for me, I'm collecting Switch 2 stuff. I want to have this on Switch 2 physically. So, like, I'm okay with just, paying up again and just, supporting Level 5 for what was a surprise hit for me. I really didn't think I would end up enjoying Fantasy Life I as much as I did because there were so many delays and so much, like, development trouble, it seemed like, where Keiji Inafune, like, had to leave the company and stuff. But they ended up having kind of a slam dunk. This is a really great game, and I'm happy to see it getting a re-release on Switch 2. I know they've done a lot of patches to this game since I even played it back in June or late May. I think there's like an open world roguelike mode now or something. Like they're doing crazy stuff with Fantasy Life I. Hopefully it ends up getting a localized version eventually, but I don't know how that would really work. Another publisher would have to pick it up. Maybe like Limited Run could grab Level 5 stuff, or maybe like Bandai Namco or something. I'm not sure. I know Spike Chunsoft did Bakaru. Maybe they could do localized versions of all of these games, but for now, we are stuck with this import, which is still better than nothing, still pretty cool, and it's nice to have another Switch 2 edition that's complete on the cartridge, which is actually interesting now that I think about it. All except one Switch 2 game releasing this month is actually complete on cartridge. That's because there's like no Switch 2 games this month. All right, next up, I wanted to highlight this as well. I believe Limited Run had the American pre-orders for this, but if you don't like Limited Run, if you don't want to go through them, Play Asia does have the Gradius Origin collection multi-language up for pre-order, releasing the same day, August 7th, for $42.99. This is a huge collection of a bunch of Gradius games. Not something that I'm too interested in. I do like Konami's collection, so maybe if I see it on VGP for like the English copy, I'll pick it up eventually. But if you don't like LRG and you want to get a copy of this game, it is available not through them. Similar theming with something else we'll talk about later in the video. But yeah, Gradius, obviously, you know, a classic shmup series, $42.99 if you want to check that out. There is also this big special edition for $97 that includes like a soundtrack CD as well as a couple of other things here. What else we got here? Like a book. Yeah, you got the Gradius Origin Collection official book. You get some, is that like a poster? And then a couple of other things. That's a cool poster, actually. Very, very retro. Very retro poster in this deluxe edition. So not really something that I'm looking too much into, but I wanted to shout it out here if you're a big fan of Gradius. That is getting a physical. Once again, it did have one in America through limited run, but now there is also this Japanese version that does have English on the cartridge. And speaking of collections, we do have 2 more over on PlayAsia releasing the same day, August 7th. So August 7th seems to be the big day for Switch releases this month. We have the Arcade Archives Neo Geo Selection Volume 5 as well as Volume 6. Both are releasing for $42. These have English on the cartridge. I'm going to have links to these in the description down below, specifically the ones that do not have the Sero rating on the cover. I got a lot of comments on my Tamagotchi Plaza video about that because I linked it in the description. People were like, oh, I want that version that doesn't have the Japanese on the cover. Unfortunately, that sold out. I don't know if they're planning on restocking it, but there was actually a lot of people very interested in that game. This is not going to have Sero. So the ones that are linked down below are like the clean, like American fronts. If that is something that interests you, here's the comparison of like Volume 6 here. It has like Japanese on it and the Sero rating. I prefer, if I can, to order these because, well, they actually, you know, they don't have the Sero rating. They almost always have English on the spine, which is what I prefer for my collection. I have not picked up any of these ACA Neo Geo collections yet. However, it's something I'm definitely looking into. I just think it's really cool because Hamster's been doing all of these Neo Geo games for the entire life cycle of the Switch 1, and now they're doing Arcade Archives 2 on Switch 2 with like Ridge Racer and Air Combat and stuff. I don't know how many collections it would take because I think this only includes like, yeah, it includes 10 games here. It would take forever for them to catch up and do every Arcade Archives game because they've released one every week almost for, you know, 7 years. But I really like that these are getting physical collections. I don't have any of them. I've played a couple of the games digitally where I bought them on sale or whatever. I don't even know if they won on sale, but they were cheap. So I bought like a couple. I bought some Metal Slug games and some King of Fighters things. But it's nice that there are these physicals. And once again, there is this like English cover if that is something that interests you. So Volume 5, here are the games included in that. And then Volume 6 includes these 10 games. You got King of Fighters 98, Last Blade 2, Real Bout Fatal Fury Special, Samurai Showdown 4, Sengoku 3. So a lot of games I've never heard of, but then, you know, you have the ones I just listed that of course I am familiar with. Cool. I like these collections. I hope they keep doing them, and I hope we get to like Volume 70, you know, because there are just so many Neo Geo games for them to put on a cartridge. But that said, we jump a week forward to August 14th, where we have our next Switch 2 release, and that is kind of a big one. Not really something that I'm too, you know, excited to play or anything, but Madden NFL 26. This is releasing on August 14th for $70. If you want to get the game earlier, there is like a deluxe edition on the eShop, digital only, unfortunately, that I think is $100, gives you, I want to say, a week early access and some like NFL Ultimate Team stuff. But this is a big deal because it is the first time a Madden game has been on Nintendo since the Wii U launch. That's crazy. I mean, this is a big moment for the series. Right now, the deluxe edition, the $100 version, is towards the top of the eShop charts. I'm curious to see how these annual sports games actually start doing now that the Switch 2 is more capable. From what we've seen of this, it seems like a pretty competent port. It's not like a legacy version. It is the current version of Madden. I don't play EA Sports games, really, but it's still exciting to see EA supporting the Switch 2 in this way with, you know, proper ports, not these weird legacy versions that's missing content. It is the full Madden NFL 26 experience on the Switch 2 and handheld. I think that's pretty neat. I am kind of interested in checking these out. I used to play Madden on like PS3 when I was a kid because it was like, oh, cheap game at a thrift store or whatever. So I had some Maddens on PS2 and PS3. Madden 10, I want to say, was the one I played the most. I haven't played a Madden since then. I've only heard bad things, to be honest. I don't know if that's just people nitpicking or if Madden truly has gone downhill because, you know, they keep rushing these things out or whatever. They have like a 10-month dev cycle for them. But cool. Happy that Madden is back on Nintendo. Curious to see how it ends up selling on Nintendo and if EA will continue releasing them on Switch 2, because for Wii U, we had Madden 13, and I don't know if that was like a contractual obligation or something, but they immediately noped out of there. We never got another EA Sports game on Wii U, and they've been pretty much absent since then. So Madden NFL 26, August 14th, that is our game keycard release for the month. 65 gig download, as you can see here. So a game key card that's actually justified. You know, this is one that couldn't fit on one of the 64 gig cards. I'm actually very curious if you are planning on picking this up on Switch 2. Let me know in the comments down below. I just want to know and like kind of gauge, because I know the Nintendo audience typically, you know, this is not what we're here for on Switch, but I bet this will do decent, pretty well. It's going to take a while to build that audience back up on Nintendo platforms, though. Next up, we have a game that I honestly really thought was already available, and that is Slay the Princess, the Pristine Cuts Premium Physical Edition from Serenity Forge. I feel like I've been seeing this game for years. I don't know if the physical kept getting delayed or something. Right here it says Metacritic's #5 best reviewed PC game of 2023, now coming to console in its definitive form. I have heard so much about this game. I don't really even know what it is, but it has a very unique art style. This is getting its physical on August 15th for $45. There is also this huge $200 special edition launching the same day that comes with a 7-inch princess statue, a metal bookmark, a lenticular mirror, some pins, just a bunch of stuff in this. So if you're a huge Slay the Princess fan, it looks like you're finally getting an option for this game that is physical on Switch 1 and on PS5, which is nice to see. Getting towards the end of the month, but it seems like that's where most of the Switch 2 games actually are. So first things first, we have a new release from Marvelous, Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar. We have a standard edition for $60, as well as the premium edition for $80. This game is also available on Switch 1 in both formats for $10 less, so $70 here for the standard, or for the deluxe edition on Switch 1, and then I believe it's $50 for the Switch 1 version of this game if you want to play it there. And then there should be upgrade paths available as well, because this is a proper Switch 2 edition. Marvelous, the goats, they're doing their stuff on the cartridge. A game that I like the idea of playing. I really do. I do this every time a new Story of Seasons comes out. I loved Harvest Moon growing up, specifically Magical Melody on GameCube, but then also I want to say it was Island of Happiness on DS, and then the last one I really played was A Tale of Two Towns on 3DS. I think that was the last one that the original team did before, you know, kind of had that whole fallout, and then it became Story of Seasons with the original team. This is a remake of another DS game, so they're just slowly going through. It feels like every year we either get a remake or a new entry. I guess next year we're due for a new one. But we're getting another proper Switch 2 physical release here from Marvelous. Nice to see. I will maybe end up doing some sort of video. Maybe I'll unbox the special edition here, which usually these come with like a plush. Like I have one that's like it was like a cow plush for this game. Let me see if I can figure out what this actually includes. Yeah, it says it includes a 115-page art book, the original CD soundtrack, the sheep pocket plush and cloth poster, and then the bigger outer box. So $20 more for an art book, CD, and plush. That's not the worst thing in the world, especially if you're a big fan of the series. I would be more keen on buying this and doing like an unboxing if Marvelous and Xseed didn't do these awfully sized special editions. I hate the way they do these, because as you can see, it's like long instead of tall. It makes putting them on a shelf a pain in the butt, because my bookcases are very thin, right? So to get this on a shelf, I have to stand it up on its side with this red, you know, top part of the bar right here facing outwards, and it just looks bad. Farmagia is the same way. That new East remaster that came out earlier this year is the same way. I got Slitterhead on PS5, same thing. I really don't like their sizes for the special editions, but either way, Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar. Let me know if you're picking this one up in the comments down below. And then we go over to PlayAsia one final time for a new Bandai Namco release. Super Robot Wars Y is coming out. There is an Asian release as well as a Japanese release. Their box arts don't seem to be you know, finalized here. So, well, this one has Japanese text, but then the Asia one doesn't have any text. So I'm not sure. I'm not too sure what's going on there. I think this is just, you know, a mock-up, but it'll have English on the cover, I'm sure. Releasing $70 for the Japanese version, $74 for the version that would, you know, be properly in English on the cover and everything here. I'll have that link down below. I've never played one of these Super Robot Wars games, but I know there's a lot of them. The titles are very funny because it's like Super Robot Wars Z or W or R or whatever. There's just so many of these games. Not very familiar with them, but it's something that I would like to check out eventually. Not going to pick up this one in particular, especially not at $74 for a Switch 1 game, but that is coming out on August 28th. And as you can see here, there is like a collector's edition that comes with a bunch of extra stuff. And I guess this is kind of like Megaton Musashi, where it's just a bunch of mech games kind of combined. So you got Gundam in there, you got some Macross, you got some Code Geass, some Godzilla stuff in there. Sure, why not? I'm trying to figure out what's in this special edition. It says box contents, game, soundtrack, acrylic stand set, Robot Spirits figure. Okay, so that's where the money is, right? That's going to be like a statue, I guess. And then some digital deluxe edition and ultimate edition bonus content. So not something that I'm going to be checking out anytime in the near future. If anything, I would check out one of the earlier ones. But also, it doesn't look like this is coming out the same day, or maybe it's already sold out, because usually when something sells out on PlayAsia, they just say like pre-orders coming soon. So maybe you're stuck with the standard for now on this one. But that's okay, because we have our final Switch 2 release for the month of August, and it is our first party title from Nintendo. For $79.99, we are getting Kirby and the Forgotten Land Nintendo Switch 2 Edition plus Star Cross World, my favorite video game title of all time. I cannot believe it is that long. Kirby and the Forgotten Land, one of my favorite Switch 1 games, really one of my favorite games ever. I don't know how high it would be on like my overall list, but I think it's at least a top 10 Switch 1 game. It's a fantastic game. If you have not played Kirby and the Forgotten Lands, I highly recommend you do so. We haven't seen too much of what this DLC is actually doing, but for those out of the loop here, the way Nintendo is viewing these, it's like, okay, $60 for the base game, which is what it retails for on Switch, and then $20 for the DLC. They did the same thing with Mario Party last month. They're doing the same thing here. Hopefully this is more substantial than Mario Party Jamboree was, Jamboree TV. I'm still going to do a video on that, by the way. Not the greatest DLC, I gotta be honest. Hopefully this is a little bit better, but after how good Forgotten Land base was, I have no doubt that even if this is just like remix levels, which is what it looks like, even just replaying this game in 4K 60 that's already like, that sounds good to me, you know? So this is what I'll be picking up. I'll be doing a video on this. I already 100%ed it on Switch 1, but got to do all that new content as well. That's August 28th, once again, towards the end of the month. Annoying, it comes out the day before PAX West, so I'll be scrambling to play this a little bit before I'm busy all weekend, but still, there's our next first-party game, and once again, a game that is on the cartridge. So, aside from Madden, we have, what, 4 or 5 Switch 2 games releasing this month? Only Madden is the one that's a game keycard. Everything else is on the cartridge, which is pretty nice to see. And then finally, 2 more here to toss in at the end for Switch 1. We have Date Everything from Team 17. This just came out digitally pretty recently. Kind of took the internet by storm for a little bit there. I know a lot of people were into this. It was #1 on the eShop chart for a while. $35, August 28th. This is a game where basically you can date any household object, and but they're like humanoid. I think there's voice acting. I want to say Ben Starr is in this, right? From he's Clive in Final Fantasy 16, but he's also doing a bunch of other stuff recently. So Date Everything, getting a physical later this month. Let me know in the comments down below if you're checking this one out. Not for me, but I can respect that clearly a lot of work went into it. 100 dateable characters, they say here. I know there's like a bunch of like different routes, and I think you can like matchmake them too or something. I'm not too sure. Not my type of game, but I know people are into it. And then finally, going over to VGP here, it's super zoomed in. So this one is interesting. Unfortunately, it's sold out. I guess a lot of people chose to, try to buy it here instead of limited run, but originally, Limited Run did the Shinobi Art of Vengeance physical for Sega. What's nice about that, I pre-ordered the PS5 version through them. They're actually shipping it, at least they're supposed to be shipping it, around the time of release. It's not going to be like a way later thing, because they did the run back earlier this year with, I guess, the intent of shipping it around the time the game actually releases, because when I go to my shipping timeline thing, it says it's shipping at the end of August. But if you don't like Limited Run, there is a Japanese version here from Sega itself, $35. Unfortunately, it's sold out, though, so I don't know if this will be restocked soon. VGP, usually, they do a lot of stuff with LRG. I mean, they recently did a Tomba PS4 exclusive through them, and they're doing some other things. Even if this doesn't get restocked, I'm sure they will end up having the proper English LRG stock in the near future, maybe in September at some point. But if you really don't like LRG and you don't want to support them, because I know a lot of people don't, there is this multi-language Japanese import. It's just out of stock right now, but I'm sure it'll flicker in and out and hopefully be available by the time the game actually releases. This game looks sick. I watched someone play through the demo. I'm still trying to get to Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, which is getting its physical in September, so we'll talk about that next month. But this game, I think, actually looks better. I really, really like the art style, and it looks like the way the combat flows. I've never really played a Shinobi game before, but this looks sick. Sega's doing great stuff, going back, reviving old IPs. This is their first big game revival project game, right? If you remember at the Game Awards several years back, they announced this and Jet Set Radio and Golden Axe. This is the first of those games. So I hope this does well, I hope it reviews well, and I will definitely be checking it out later this year. But that is going to do it for today's new releases video. Let me know in the comments down below what you're planning on picking up in the month of August. Lighter month for sure, but like I said at the top, kind of like the calm before the storm of September. September has so much stuff releasing, and that only amplifies as we move into October, especially if you do also play on PlayStation 5. There's so many games releasing there. I know next month for Switch 2, there's there's like 3 or 4 games releasing on the same day at the beginning of the month. So September, gonna be absolutely packed. Very excited. Gonna take the month of August to kind of catch up on some things, hopefully, here. I'm trying to finish up my Breath of the Wild Master Mode 100% run still. And I still have a lot of other videos I need to do. I'm still playing through Its-A-Mii files, and No Sleep for Konami Date, of course. I just started a new file on Octopath, so I'm all over the place right now. Hopefully I can get some of this stuff finished up before the onslaught of fall games. But let me know what you're checking out this month. Of course, as always, subscribe here for more Nintendo Switch collecting content. One final reminder that there are affiliate links down below if you do want to support the channel that way. No obligation if you don't want to, I get it. And until next time, folks, enjoy the rest of your Sunday afternoon. Peace.